Hi Taurus, welcome to your September 2017 love reading. It's Raina here. And before I begin, if you're looking for love, especially if you're single, but I guess you can be married and looking for love too, right? I have a new series of videos for each sign and it's on Vimeo. And it's a spread that I specifically devised to be both instructional as well as, you can even say predictive, in terms of how to find this person and maybe even timing issues and things like that. So you can follow the link below to Vimeo. These are readings that incorporate both the tarot spread that I devised as well as some oracle cards that relate to love situations. So that's cool. Of course, if you'd like a personal reading, I'll also provide a link below for that as well. All right, so this is the month right after the eclipses. Let's see what it says here. Okay. Okay, when I pick a card like the Five of Swords, I do pick a clarification card. And I'm going to pick another card, just because these are not like cards of resolution. So I'm going to, let me just shuffle this. Okay. All right, so put that aside. All right. There are certain cards, it's not because, oh, this, the Five of Swords and the Ten of Swords have negative connotations. Because really, you know, I could have left it at the Ten of Swords or even the Five of Swords, but it has to do with resolution. They don't seem like cards of resolution. They seem more, it seems like they're opening up another can of worms. So that's why I pick other cards. Okay, so let's begin. The overall theme, heart of the matter, is the Eight of Cups. This is a card of either leaving what no longer serves you or thinking about doing so. And it all depends. Some people are just reacting towards a current situation and wanting to get away. But the question is, where are they going? Is there some... It's easy to walk away from something, but if you don't have any vision of where you're going, then that creates problems, because then it's just a reaction. So this person is obviously unhappy with where they are. Sometimes it can be a spiritual quest. So if somebody is in a relationship that is draining them and making them, I don't know, question life itself, they may go for their health, for health reasons, or just for a well, it could be health, it could be mental health too. You know, if somebody's making you feel depressed, then you may draw that connection and say, wow, I don't need this in my life. I'm leaving the situation. So I guess there are certain times when, even if you don't really have a place that you are deliberately trying to go to, it still is wise to remove yourself from the situation. But it could just be that, like in Eat, Love, Pray, where the person might be a very nice person, but you still don't feel that sense of emotional connection. Or I think in the writer's case, in Eat, Love, Pray, she felt like there was something missing in her life spiritually. So she really couldn't feel like it was a good idea to continue in her marriage. So it doesn't mean that the other person is deficient. It just may mean that you're in this phase of life where you're starting to question things more. In the past position, we have the 9 of Pentacles. Sometimes the 9, I always think of the solitary person, because the number 9 is connected with humanitarianism, but in the Tarot, it's connected with the Hermit card in the Major Arcana. So I would specifically associate this with Virgo, because Virgo is the 9th month, and it's an earth sign, and Pentacles are earth. So I don't know if it does correspond with Virgo, but this is a card in the past position of somebody who is supporting themselves. And so if we look at the fact that it's a woman in the picture, if you are a woman who is a career person, you may just be thinking to yourself, I don't need a husband or a partner to support me, so why am I allowing myself to stay in this relationship? It's not 1954 anymore. I can actually live on my own, and I don't need a man to support me. But in general, we would say, too, that this may be a card of, like, perhaps that 9, separate from the Pentacles, is you questioning your journey. There could be it's possible that there's a Taurus person that you have met that has made you leave your marriage. I don't know. But I'm looking at it in terms of it being a facet of you as an earth sign and representing the Pentacles, and perhaps saying to yourself, I'm looking for something more in my life and wanting that fulfillment. And then we have, in the current situation, the Chariot card, which is a card of success and a card of marshaling your forces. The person on the horse, which happens to be a royal figure, like a kingly figure, is holding on to the reins of the horse, which kind of symbolize holding on to your thoughts so that they don't run away with you and that they don't control your actions. You're controlling your actions through your focused effort. And this is a card that sometimes is associated with having a lot of distractions around you, and yet you still succeed because you're like laser focused on what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And sometimes I think this happens when people have had so much that they just are like, there's no debate anymore within themselves. Maybe in the past you were kind of on the fence about making a decision about leaving. And then you just got to the point where it was intolerable. Because this is the month after the eclipse season, I feel like a lot of people are winding up with a lot of questions about where to go from here. There may have been secrets revealed. There may have been the partner of the person may have decided that they wanted to leave. And so it may not even be, perhaps that's not even your decision. Maybe the other person is the 8 of Cups. The Chariot card connects with Cancer. So if this is somebody that you're either currently involved with or you were involved with at the time of leaving, maybe this is the actual person you've left, I don't know. It could be timing issues, because maybe during the time of July when the sun was in Cancer, sometimes I think these are timing issues with the 9 of Pentacles. That might be something in September while the sun is in Virgo. By the way, the sun in Virgo is favorable to you because you're an earth sign as well. So that could be telling you something as well. Mercury is going to be retrograde for the first 5 days of September. you may very well be watching this in August. So even that Nine of Pentacles may be future for you. So just keep that in mind, that the timing, don't get the timing all, don't think of it too strongly in that term. What crosses you is the Knight of Pentacles. This is a card that's actually associated with you. However, they always tell us when we're trying to train for tarot reading, and I'm just talking about even in books and online courses. If you want to train online, there are free courses too that you can take. But one thing that I've noticed is that they say go with what you feel like the card represents. Don't just go by what the book says. I've read that in books too. And I always associate the Knight of Pentacles with Capricorn, but it's actually considered your card that's associated with Taurus. And I suppose one reason is that the Knight of Pentacles is a knight who is very plodding in his acquisition of money. He's just totally focused on it. So that Chariot card might be also acknowledging that as well, of this kind of tunnel vision. But this is in the challenge position. So it could be, and getting that Nine of Pentacles in the past position, that could be hinting at this thing, this quality that's definitely within a Taurus person, to want to amass their wealth. Now you might say, you say that like that's a bad thing, and it's not a bad thing in and of itself. But the Knight of Pentacles can be rather unimaginative and can just be totally focused on that to the exclusion of all else. And life is not just about making money. It's hard, I think, sometimes for earth signs to value things that are intangible. It has to be something you can hold in your hand, and of course you can hold money in your hand. But when you're dealing with a love issue like this, you have to invest time in it. You have to be willing to acknowledge when you're off track. And if you're too obsessed with the material side of life, you may neglect the other person simply because you may dedicate more time earning that money. Just remember that you can't take one penny with you when you leave this earth. And so your soul is the only thing that you can leave this earth with, not even your body. So who you love, I believe, is etched upon your soul. And I can tell you from my personal readings that my number one reading are love readings. And that continues to surprise me. Given the last however many years that we've had this economy, which, it might be perfectly fine for getting by, but I would think that more people were concerned about their future in terms of that. But it's really not. It's really not about that. They want to deal with some aspect of a personal relationship. And that makes sense to me when I look at things overall, because just like the Beatles said, love is all you need, and it's the most valuable thing, and not money. And it's kind of touching if you think about it. So just keep that in mind, okay? And the higher message is the Lover's card. So this can just simply be you have to make a choice, and maybe that's coming on down the line. But I think this could be about intimacy, and not just sexual intimacy. This could be a card, when you see nudity, you think of sex, right? But it actually can be about bearing your soul to another person and not being ashamed to do so. So if you've been having a relationship, even a marriage, that has kind of been on the surface and you're just going through the motions or playing the role of mother and father, husband and wife, man and woman. And by the way, even if you're in a same-sex relationship, there still are the same kind of patterns that develop where one person is, designated as one thing and the other person's designated as the other. So it really doesn't matter. You get the gist, though. And you may have to decide whether or not you're going to continue with this. If you decide to actually leave, like that card right above it, you're going to be faced with this again. You may change faces and places, but it may be the same situation showing itself to you again. So it really pays to look within yourself, not to, point fingers at the other person. What didn't they do? How they failed the relationship. But see how you think about relationships and how you act within relationships. And maybe there are things you need to alter in your own behavior, and that will automatically alter your patterns in the future. What is coming in for you, I think, or advice, is the Seven of Pentacles. Sometimes this can just mean have patience and that things will start to sort themselves out. Especially if there is some kind of thing that you're on the fence about. Maybe sometimes when you are feeling that sense of indecision, the best thing you can do is just to not act and be more passive and kind of wait to see what develops. But with that Lover's card, there could be an actual Gemini person in the picture who may be more suitable for you and who may be giving you this support on an emotional level. And this card is saying, because that's connected to Gemini, that card may be saying this person has always been the right person for you, but you kind of like looked over them for somebody else. And it possibly could be because that person was very nice to you. I know that sounds terrible, but some people only value the people who are elusive, don't really accept them, don't really commit to them. And those are the ones that are deemed the desirable ones, which is kind of like twisted a little bit. But I'm not saying that all Taurus people are like that by a long shot. But these things happen. If somebody is too available, they become not enough of a challenge, or, oh, there must be something wrong with this person. They're really into me. That could be low self-esteem, obviously. So the end result, and we're going to talk about this because this is important. The Five of Swords. This can be a card of an empty victory. So an example of this would be, because this is a card of victory. This could be a situation where you think that leaving someone will, if let's say you want to leave somebody because you want to show them, maybe out of revenge. And I'm not talking about because they actually did something terrible. Maybe it's just something that you got upset about, that really it wasn't fair for you to take it to that level. Then it could be that you're the one who's going to end up with a sense of, wow, I really overreacted about that. Taurus is a fixed sign, and some of you, when you get an idea in your head or a bee in your bonnet, it ends up, you can overblow the situation and really dig your heels in. And it could be a misunderstanding, with the Mercury retrograde. Maybe something happened in August and you got your signals crossed and you overreacted with the situation, and then you ended up not, with the short end of the stick. So make sure, if you're watching before August especially, but, well, not in August, before September, make sure that when you take action, that it's inspired action. Don't take action in the heat of the moment. Unless it's like a really dire situation, of course. But the other thing, too, is that it's possible that somebody is talking bad about you, slandering you. maybe that other person is, maybe you were with somebody who was actually a very abusive person, and they, like a narcissist. And these people, if you reject them, sometimes they will just totally drag your name through the mud. And if that's what you're dealing with, and this card I have as a clarification, it's like saying it is so over. This 10 of Swords is saying you got stabbed in the back by this person. This person did not have your back, and they were very disloyal. And maybe they were doing something wrong, and instead of copying to it, they actually doubled down. And you can see by their actions now that they were never in your corner. And so a person who has class is somebody who, even if a person leaves them, they never speak badly of them. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Even if the person did them wrong, I always am very leery when people say bad things about somebody, even if they can make a good case against it, because it's like it's showing their own bitterness. And you never know really what transpired. You're only hearing one side of the story. So hopefully, if that has happened with you have mutual friends or something like that, hopefully they will see the bitterness and they will not they won't believe it necessarily. But this can be helpful for you in a weird way, because you can see that it's really over with. If you still harbored some residual feelings of tenderness for this person. And the card I picked as the clarification is the soulmate card. And I would say, even with this Lover's card, is that this opens you up for your soulmate, and it frees you up. You know what I mean? So that can be very helpful when you're trying to deal with other types of challenges in the meantime. And perhaps this is the person waiting for you, and you've already been dealing with them, and this has given you the courage to move on, but you have to deal with somebody's ego getting bruised in the meantime. And so that's just part of life, I guess, but it looks like all's well that ends well. So I think I'm going to leave it there, Taurus. I hope you enjoyed this, and good luck to you in September. Bye.